Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing the Last Oricru and I'm going to be showing you the top 5 best one-handed swords that I've been able to find in the game. So, two things. This game is kind of a weird type of game to progress through and find things. A lot of it's random, so it's possible that I've missed stuff, and if I have, I of course invite you to share that down in the comment section below because, you know, if there's a great sword out there that I haven't found, I'd love for you to tell me where it is, or what it is at least. And another thing is, there's no map in this game, and like I said, most things are actually random and just drop from bosses, and really there's only 2 or 3 types of enemies in the game. So I won't be able to show you exact locations for how to get these things, although some of them can be purchased. And if you're going to be able to purchase them, it's going to be right here in the town square where I'm located at. There's a number of stores here, one right there, one right there, one right here. The guy in the bar over there sells stuff, and then this blacksmith guy sells stuff. Basically, that's the best I can give you. If they can be purchased, they'll be able to be purchased somewhere in this square. Otherwise, it's going to be random loot drops from enemies. But with all that in mind, let's just dive on in and start off with number 5 on our list. So number 5, we have the Long Justice. And now, like all weapons in the game, it'll come in a variety of different qualities. You've got your standard quality is going to be represented by blue. Your superior quality is going to be represented by purple. Your worn quality, which is just below standard, is going to be this kind of yellowish gold color. And then there's a basic gray color that represents the worst quality, which is poor. But with all that in mind, that will affect the stats, but the ranking holds true. So while a superior variant of like the Long Justice might be better than a couple other swords later on in this list, it's not going to be a huge difference, and usually it won't be anyway. So with all that in mind, like I said, number 5, we have Long Justice. It's this one-handed straight sword that you can see me using here. As far as the style of it goes, it looks like a pretty standard cruciform sword, except for at the tip. Instead of being sharpened to a point, it's got like a weird hook type of design on it, which makes me think that it's, well, it's definitely not a stabbing weapon. It's primarily slashing. It only weighs 1.4 kilograms, requires 16 strength to use, 17 agility. It does not have an intelligence requirement. Kind of a mid-tier, or I should say mid-level type of thing progression-wise to be able to use this one. Decently high requirements. Not something you'll be able to use right out of the gate. The primary attack on it for, at my level, 789, but you can see our base damage is 676 down there. And then we have a strong secondary attack, which has a base damage 821, 965 for me here. But yeah, so that's number 5, Long Justice. And so for using this one, it's got a decently quick attack, but there's our standard attacks. And then our heavy attack is a thrusting attack, which is funny given this doesn't have a point. But it works pretty quick, is decent at blocking or breaking blocks, and does decently high damage. So that's number 5, Long Justice. Let's move on to number 4. So at number 4, we have the ELECTRO katana, which you can see I'm wielding here. This one weighs 0.9 kilograms, so it's nice and light. It's a good one for that. It has no strength requirement, but does have an agility requirement of 18, intelligence requirement of 17. So decently solid there. I got to it pretty quick by boosting. So there are various things, namely rings, that you can use to switch certain stats over to other ones. But as far as that goes, this one is going to go more towards your science-y intelligence build. So if you're going for that type of thing in the game, then the Electro Katana is a really good one for that. We have a base damage of 783 with our primary attack. You can see I'm at 868. And then we have an electric buff with a 440 there, which says imbues user's weapon with lightning damage. So basically you just hit that, and then all of your attacks with the weapon are going to also deal that electric damage. So that can be pretty great. This one is a part of a set. So you can see over here, we've got things like the phaser, the orb of protection, ring of David, medallion of power, electric katana, fire katana. These are going to help boost each other. So basically, if you've got this whole set on and you're dual wielding the fire katana and the electric katana, and you've got your orb of protection or your phaser on as well, and then you're wearing the ring of David and the medallion of power, you're going to get a pretty sweet boost where all of these are going to give you that increased lightning damage, increased fire damage, and more physical damage. So you can see we get 40% to both the lightning and the fire, and then 300 to physical. So this one can be one of the best weapons in the game, if not the best. But on its own, without all the other stuff boosted, or with only some of it, then I give it the number 4 spot. And so for this one, decently quick-ish attacks. They kind of feel a little bit charged, so they're a bit slower than some. And then, like I said, you can see it says my stats are too low. It's because my intelligence isn't high enough to charge it with the lightning energy. But when you do, then it just also deals all that lightning damage. So that is the Electro Katana at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. So at number 3, we've got this kind of cool-looking, skinny, curved sword called the Stinger. Now, this is one that you'll find dropped by quite a few different enemies. Basically, any of the humanoid-style enemies have a chance to to drop this one in any state, usually poor or worn. Or once you make it to this square here, square area here, you'll be able to purchase it from, I believe it is this store right here with the shield in front of it. I think that's the store, but if not, it's that one, this one over there, or the blacksmith. It's one of them. But it's a pretty decent weapon as far as requirements for, or, well, I should say it only weighs a half a kilogram, so it's nice and light. As far as requirements to use it, you got a strength requirement of 12, agility of 28, no intelligence requirement. The base damage for this one is 790. You can see I don't meet the agility requirement, and I'm too many levels below it to use it even somewhat effectively. So my primary attack on it is 5. So like all weapons in the game, if you don't make the stats for it, definitely don't use it because it's going to be way less effective than anything else. But you can see the base damage for it is 790 for the primary attack, and the secondary attack has 952. So pretty solid there. Like I said, this one can be a really nice weapon. It's got a decently fast attack. Again, it's not going to be lightning fast, but it is pretty quick for those follow-up attacks. And then that heavy thrusting attack for our secondary attack. So the Stinger is definitely a good weapon. I really enjoy it, and obviously I've upgraded it to level 3 here. I used it quite a bit when it was at level 2, and so I actually had the stat requirements to use it. But yeah, it's a pretty solid weapon. You can find it all over the place. I got my first one before leaving the very first, the monastery. I picked one up. You'll find yourself having this weapon for sure at some point in the game. But that's number 3. Let's move on to number 2. So number 2, we have the Captain's Sword, and this one is one of my favorites in the game. So this one can also be dropped by high level, I can't remember what they're called, but the humanoid type enemies, not the ratkins, the other guys. But this one can be dropped by them, or it can be purchased once you make it to the square here. It has a base damage of 799 for the primary attack, and then 963 for the secondary attack. You can see mine's higher than that for both because I actually meet the stats for it. Has a weight of 0.7 kilograms, 19 strength to use this one, 21 agility, no intelligence requirement. Honestly, a pretty cool weapon. I like the way it's kind of got like a cup guard to it, makes it look like a saber or small sword even. I really like the way it looks. This one is also, other than looking very cool, it's got the same sort of attack speed and style, like moveset wise, as the Stinger did. But I really like this one, and I use it quite a bit. Now, obviously, like I said, I actually meet the stat requirements to use this one at level 3, so it's one of the reasons I like using it, but it is a really good sword. So that's the Captain's Sword at number 2. Let's move on to the number 1 best one-handed sword that I've found so far in the game. So at number 1, we have the Elite Guardian. And now you can see I've got the standard variant of that, and I have it up to +3. This one is another one that you'll find throughout the game being dropped by bosses, now obviously, or not just bosses, but, you know, mob enemies. This one is obviously one that you'll usually find it in the poor or worn state, but once you make it to the town square here, you can buy it in the standard state, and a superior version does exist that you can find throughout. I think there's also a legendary variant that you can trade the legendary sword fragments for, so you can get quite a few, but the Elite Guardian is, by all accounts, out of all of the swords I've tested in the game, the best one-handed sword that exists. For one thing, I really like the look of it. It's got the standard medieval cruciform design to it. Looks, obviously, as iconic as a medieval sword could. This one has a base damage of 928 for the primary attack and 1,111 for the secondary attack. Only weighs 0.69 kilograms. It does have decently high requirements to use it, needing 22 strength and 25 agility. No intelligence requirement though, so that's pretty nice. As far as the moveset for it, this one's going to be similar to most of the ones that we've looked at before, just those wide slashing moves, but decently quick. And then our heavy attack is going to be that nice powerful thrust attack. So that is all 5 of the top 5 best one-handed swords in the game. I do have an honorable mention that I want to talk about though, and that honorable mention is the Magma sword. Now this one, maybe if you side with the Ratkins you can buy it somewhere. I don't know, because in this playthrough I did not side with them, and they don't like me very much, so I can't buy anything from them. But this one is a one-handed sword. I picked this one up in the monastery, and it made it up until quite recently in this playthrough, it was the primary weapon I was using. It swings really fast, so that's nice. It weighs 0.88 kilograms, only has requirements at level 3, or at +3 here, of 12 for strength, 11 for agility, and 12 for intelligence. So this one is good for a balanced playthrough, because you don't have to have nearly as high of a single stat requirement to use it, but you do need intelligence, strength, and agility. The primary attack, base damage is 673, but you can see that mine's a little bit higher than that. And you have a special attack that uses up some mana, called the Fire Thrust, but it's a pretty fun one. It's good for getting through shields, and you can affect multiple enemies with it. Because of the fact that this one also deals fire damage, you're doing doing physical and fire, so you can boost for that. As far as the sword goes, like I said, the swing speed, here it looks pretty slow, but I don't know. For me, when I was using it, it was significantly faster than that. But then our special attack is this cool fire thrust, where you, you know, send out a spurt of fire that deals decent damage, especially to enemies that are weak for it. Now, this one is going to be, like I said, maybe you can purchase it from a Ratkin shop, but you can definitely get it off of slain Ratkin warriors. And there's several different varieties of swords kind of like this that you can get off them, but the plain magma sword is the one that I found to be just the most useful and that I like the most. So that's my honorable mention, and that is the 5 best one-handed swords. I wish I could be more specific on where to get these things, but the game design does not support that that level of specificness. So with all that in mind, if you find any of these, hold on to them because they're good weapons. But that's all for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.